25 people at Martin Greenfield Clothiers in Brooklyn. And it's still in the same building that he started whenever he came to America. A lot of amazing things happened along that journey. The first time that he was introduced to a tour of New York was quite interesting. He had come from a world where people were suffering and starving, literally walking skeletons. And his aunt was driving him around the town, and he saw a huge building and a massive line out front of this building. And he said, Wynton, when I saw this, I became crestfallen. I couldn't believe. I thought that things were better in America. And so I told my aunt, I said, this is the longest bread line I've ever seen. This is horrible. I thought this was a place of opportunity. And she said, honey, that's not a bread line. That's Yankee Stadium. They're waiting for tickets. So he became a fan of baseball and American life, and you will find no bigger patriot if you want to find someone who will tell you about the goodness and the virtue of the American spirit. He will be the first to tell you, and I look forward to hearing. I want to read you just two quick passages. He's asked me to give you a little bit of insight into. The first is the hell, and the second passage will be the heaven of his story. The first comes from his second chapter in Measure of a Man. From Auschwitz Survivor to Presidents Tailor, Chapter 2, Inside Auschwitz, wherein he takes us inside a place that most of us cannot even imagine. And here is a portion of that experience. Many days inside Auschwitz, I was afraid I would die, and then afraid I wouldn't. We were surrounded by death and darkness, madness and murder. And the vicious precision and regimented order of the place made the moral insanity all the more bizarre and cruel. Each morning around 4:30, we were stirred from our sleep, lined up and counted in a ritual known as roll call. My heart would start jumping in my chest. A Nazi soldier would whirl his baton and scan the line with his eyes, while another called out the list of prisoner numbers. Any sign of illness or fatigue was cause for being pulled from the line and sent to the crematorium. Day and night, the ovens burned. The smoke spewed up from the soaring brick chimney and belched the vaporous remnants of corpses into the air. At night, you could see the flames spitting against the blackened sky. Still, no one in the camps talked to me about the crematoria. Whether that was because I was just a boy or because I no longer had a father by my side to speak piercing truths to me, I do not know. But I could smell that something was horribly wrong. At home in Pavlovo and in most civilizations, a clear moral order structured our daily lives. Hard work, justice, fairness, integrity, these virtues produce predictable fruits, but not in the concentration camps. The Germans killed for any reason or none at all. It was futile to try to discern their logic because there was none. If a Nazi was angry, he might kill you. If a Nazi was happy, he might kill you. It made no difference. The dehumanizing randomness of the murders suffocated my sense of hope, just as Hitler and his henchmen had wanted it to. What appeared random was in fact not random at all. It was a systematic, psychological lynching, a strangling of the human heart's need to believe in the rewards of goodness, a snapping of the moral hinge on which humanity swings. Soon, and much to my shame, I became anesthetized to death, numb to depravity. Some primal survival switch inside me had been temporarily flicked on that allowed me to submerge the emotions generated by this evil scorching my eyes. I witnessed dozens of shootings and helped carry scores of corpses. Sometimes a dead body would be intact and appear to be sleeping. Other times a bullet would rip through a prisoner, spilling out organs, or shatter a skull, exposing chunks of brain. But as the days passed, no matter its condition, a body soon became just a body, a sallow, bloodless, gangling object that must be lugged, heaved atop a pile, or dropped in a hole. At 15, I had become an undertaker. Contrast that with the beauty and the humanity and the love for America and family that you find in his last closing passage of Measure of a Man, wherein he recounts the things he endured and the triumphs he enjoyed, and there's no more joyful man than Martin Greenfield, who you're about to meet. This is how he closes. Only one explanation for my improbable life makes any sense. God allowed America to make me possible. I might have died a dozen times over, burned in the ovens at Auschwitz, or slain at Buchenwald or some other camp, as my family and 6 million others were. I might have fallen with the frozen on the death march to Gleiwitz. I might have been caught sneaking rations to the dying, been beaten to death, or been blown up when the bombs rained down. I might have never found my relatives and known the joys that only family brings. I might have wandered through life with an empty heart, never finding and marrying my dream girl. That's Arlene. I might never have experienced God's gift of children, wonderful sons whose hearts and talents help build and grow my only in America dream. But for some grace-filled reason, against all logic and probability, God led Americans to fight for me, to save me, to claim me as their own, and to nurture me with opportunities and help build a home where I could love and raise my family in my beloved Brooklyn. I'm left with nothing but gratitude and joy for my life. Some things, it turns out, are beyond measure. Martin Greenfield.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. Now I don't know where to start and where to finish. Because here I came to speak to you all is probably the best place for me to come because of the way I feel about America. About the past you heard. The past I lived through because I was accidentally born a Jew, and I was accidentally born to the best family in the world. They brought me up at 10 years old when we were occupied. I was a man. I was a man because I had a grandfather who was religious who taught me about God, and I had a father who was brilliant, and my family, the way they brought me up, because they knew something is going to happen to us, because I remember my father talking to his father, to my grandfather Abraham. And my grandfather said to my father, we're safe here because, you know, Hitler bought us. And my father said, Hitler bought us, and he's 3 steps from us. We'll never be safe, because the jerk that sold it to him shouldn't deal with Hitler and trust Hitler or trust. So I grew up hearing that. Hearing that meant a lot to me. You know why? Because use your own heads, all of you, like I did. It's not follow somebody, what somebody there. We are all born alike, knowing nothing. But depends, we are born at least to a family. Our job is simple. The parents have to bring you up. The teachers have to teach you. But guess what you guys have to do? You have to think for yourself. Not follow anybody, just learn. And never stop learning the rest of your life. I'm 86 years old. I was the youngest survivor. I am still learning from young people if somebody has an idea. I never stop not listening to somebody or somebody else. This is the way I was brought up to do, to listen and to learn. And the concentration camp, I don't want to talk about, because I took my son to Europe. He wanted to see where I was born and all over. But I would never step a foot back to Auschwitz for one reason, because